Association.
Situation. Please be informed that the Colonel and Lysenko will be here right away as we got the information from the National Security and Defense Council Information Center. As soon as it is available, we will inform you. Right now, we will elaborate on the situation in Ukraine with the lawmaker Ruslan Koshulynskyi, the All-Ukraine party Svoboda, and the deputy head of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. Прошу вас, пане Руслане.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It will be very difficult to talk about the previous information. What can I state? Again, the opinion that for who the re-elections of the parliament are not, who doesn't want the re-elections in the parliament, this is the Russian Federation, and that opinion is confirmed. Now the election process has started and the maximum activization of military actions from Russia. We will hear the information about the meeting of the National Defense and Security Council, but we can say that Russia will do everything so that the Verkhovna Rada, the parliament, is the same as it was. In 2012, the Party of Regions had 208 members, the Communist Party had 33. 241 out of 450 were the members of the Party of Regions and the Communists. That was the majority. Now they can calculate, and they believe that in the past parliament they will be able to dictate their conditions. The level of lobbyists in the Russian Federation in the parliament is very, very high to cancel the re-elections. The Russian Federation is now doing everything possible, and there are these very active military actions from Russian Federation taking place. The main problems of the election process are that is quite expensive thing for Ukrainian budget. According to the preliminary calculations, that 286 million hryvnias, and we can 986. We can reduce that amount by 250 million if we introduce amendments to the law on elections. There is a problem with the security in constituencies. We will still have the mixed system 50 by 50 because the elections will not be held in majoritarian constituencies. In the Autonomous Republic of Crimea, it will be difficult to conduct elections in Lugansk and Donetsk regions in ATO zone. The legislator can introduce some amendments to the law on elections related to that, and we can give an opportunity to take the constituencies outside of these areas to make to ensure the security for their work. Also, there might be difficulties with forming the election commissions. Here we can talk about introducing amendments to the law so that we can involve the local authorities, the administrations, to staffing in case of sabotage of people in the commissions in the regions where there are military actions going on. These are the main things. The work of the parliament has to start, and now the plenary session is to be held on the 2nd of September. As to the extraordinary sessions, we will hear that after the decision of the National Security and Defense Council. It depends on what will be the decision. And on that, the activities of the Verkhovna Rada will depend. Now, Verkhovna Rada is waiting for the steps which will be recommended by the NSDC and maybe presidential decrees. Talking about political developments, you see the number of political parties, the number of political participants will be quite big. We will see some big changes, some famous or not known or not known political forces, but the process has started. Nothing can stop the process of re-electing the parliament. This could be suspended, but the elections will be held. Thank you. I will answer your questions. Thank you. Any questions? Money Inform Agency. For many years, there's a discussion about reducing the number of MPs down to 300 members of parliament. Now we have 45,200,000 population, and 42 without Crimea. We used to have 52 million in the past. So now the question is, it's reasonable to reduce. How can it be made legislatively? Yes, thank you for the question. I agree with you. That norm is in the program of Svoboda. To reduce the number down to 300, the form of electing. We insist on open party regional lists, if this could be done. But today this could be proposed to introduce some planned amendments to the Constitution so that the next elections are held according to a new election system with a new number of members of parliament. Also, I would like to confirm that the number of voters has reduced. In the previous elections, we had 23 million. Now, at the presidential elections, approximately 18 million voters. I can forecast that the number of voters who will participate in this election campaign is from 13 to 15 million. Will there be any opportunity given to the voters from the Autonomous Republic of Crimea to come to the continental part of Ukraine or maybe vote on the territory of Crimea? And second, the prohibition of the Communist Party of Ukraine as a totalitarian political structure. I will continue your thought. It's not totalitarian. It's the structure which is hating the humanity. Now there are court proceedings going on, and I am sure that they will be delaying this process. The court hasn't been finished, and they will be registering their candidates. The next step as to voting. The process of voting will be the same that we had during the presidential election campaign. The complexity of that election campaign is that for the first time we have these elections according to the mixed-up system, and the citizens of Ukraine, those who live in Crimea, will have the opportunity to vote in the nearest regions in Kherson region, but they will not be able to elect the candidate from majoritarian constituency. And unfortunately, let's be sincere, we will not be able to organize it in Crimea. We will not be able to do that in Sevastopol and in Crimea. The main logic of re-elections to the parliament was cleaning the parliament and so that new people come. And I asked this question to Khandovsky, and he said that the Central Election Committee will not be able to prohibit register to people who were making some separatist statements, who were involved into financing of terrorist activities. So what's the sense to hold elections? It looks like reformatting the authorities in the power in the parliament. Please do not reduce the importance of the political culture of the citizens of Ukraine. It's it's absolutely different after the revolution of dignity. They understand, they know how all these members of parliament were voting, they know how different factions were voting, and they will be able, just as an employee who employs the political force, and they will be able to clean the system. I believe that the political level of conscience of our citizens is very high, and the people will look at the candidates, and they will be electing them, understanding how this person was voting and so on and so forth. Can we believe that the events of the last day, can we believe that what's happening now is the direct intervention of Russian Federation or direct invasion of Russian Federation? And if the curfew is introduced, then will the Verkhovna Rada support it? I will clarify it. If we are talking about curfew, there's a law on curfew that's a pure legal norm. It's fixed in such a way. There should be the meeting of the NSDC, the recommendation to the presidential decree, 48 hours, then meeting of the Verkhovna Rada and confirming this decree. The curfew could be introduced up to half a year all over the territory of Ukraine or on some of the territorial regions, and this will be in accordance with the decision of the NSDC. I can say that if there's no force majeure, we can get realistically 226 members. What's the problem with this Verkhovna Rada? Without someone from the Party of Regions or the Communists, no decision voted in the parliament will be considered to be legitimate. There are 33 communists and 208 of the Party of Regions. They left the Party of Regions, but the Party of Regions is still there. We can say they have reformatted. They have seen that the money wasn't taken away, the assets were not taken away, there was no lustration, no one was put into prison, the mandates were not taken away. We still have the MPs, Azarov, Yanukovych Younger, Tsarov, Yefremov, Alinik. They are still the members of parliament, and they are still receiving salaries from the state of Ukraine. With all the circumstances in the rear, that's the enemy, which tomorrow will strike you in your back. They have the highest degree of the confidentiality, and to have the meeting with them will be like an online broadcasting to the Kremlin. That's the reality. 226. If we manage to get 226, I believe then everything will be fine. I am also sure that if we do not introduce the curfew, then the Verkhovna Rada will be operating in a very light mode. The first meeting will be on the 2nd of September, the day all those who are for majoritarian system, they are working in their constituencies and they are taking buckwheat to people. They will probably not have any desire to go to the parliament, because the first question that the people will ask them will be lustration. Will they lustrate themselves? No, I'm sure they will not do that. The next decision which we need for the country, besides we're not talking about the curfew, That is the association on the 16th of September. I'm sure the next session will be on the 16th of September. We have to sign association. We have to vote for it. Will we find 226? I'm sure we will find 226. And I'm sure that at least on the 14th of October, then we need to have a session. Maybe this will be a new Ukrainian holiday. But these are my ideas. On the 16th, you believe you will work for 1 or 2 days, there won't be an interval, and on the 16th, these are my forecasts. Yeah. We need to do it this way. On the 16th, we have to vote. Basically, there are 2 claims from Russian Federation. We know that out-of-bloc status, the second state language, dual citizenship, and federalization. In what we are winning, we win in war. We are surviving without Russian Federation, without the injections. We will survive the winter, the energy security. We can. Our energy independence now, if the winter comes, we will survive. And then the food security. 3 directions which we have to work on. The military, to win, to push them to the border, to close the border, energy sector, to survive the winter, and I believe there are plans in the Cabinet of Ministers and will publicize them, make them public. There are good ideas. Today, the election campaign started. What are the ideas and the program of Svoboda? Allow me not to talk about that. There will be presentation of the program of the campaign. But it's not for me to talk about that. That's the head of the party, and there is the executive board, and they will be presenting that. Any more questions? Thank you. Thank you. I was trying to be as short as my predecessor. Thank you.
Шановні колеги, Андрій Миколаївич Лисенко, речник інформаційного центру РНБО з заявою. Dear colleagues, the Colonel and
Давай.